Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode. My name is Nolan, and today we're going to go over my Tamiya Novafox. Alright, so starting off, this was actually the second Tamiya kit that I've ever built. The first being the fighting buggy up there, aka Super Champ. I loved RC cars as a kid, but I could never afford a lot of the ones that I liked. Tamiya, Kyosho, Yokohama. I tried to follow in the footsteps of my brothers as much as I could, and they were crazy into building and racing Kyoshos. But me balling on a 11-year-old's budget, I can never afford those. So my specials were really any sale or specials they had at Radio Shack, garage sales, things like that. That enabled me to kind of get into the hobby and tinker around and build and so on and so forth. So I think being able to finally get into these and build them is a way for me to kind of relive a childhood that I missed out on. And being older and a little bit wiser, I think it is actually more enjoyable now, and I can take advantage of it more now than I ever could when I was a kid. So starting off with this one, this is a re-release of the Fox. So this is the Novafox, and I wanted to do a couple upgrades I had in mind. Some of them I didn't know if they would work, and some of them I knew I could probably find a way to change it. But as far as the kit build goes, it was fairly stock. What I ended up doing was I did some suspension, they call them support bridges, or some suspension shafts and carbon fiber pieces up front. I ended up going with a different motor. This one is a Retro Sport 21 turn from Holmes Hobby, and these ones actually work out really good for those who have built a Novafox or know you need really long kind of leads or motor wires. So with these leads being really long, it kind of worked out really good. And then one of the things that I always felt that was lacking from this particular kit was the wing height in the rear. I wanted to find a way to kind of raise it up a little bit and give it a little bit better dimension. So box art for these I think is fairly stunning. Sometimes I'll end up going a box art route, and sometimes I end up kind of wanting doing my own thing. I almost went with a box route for this one, but I wanted to do something that would kind of tie in with these gold wheels a little bit better and kind of go with that whole retro kind of vintage old school theme that I like going with these buggies. So first off, I feel this particular one, for me at least, has that dragster but also vintage buggy kind of look and feel. So I wanted to keep with that, but I also wanted to get this rear wing a little bit higher. For those who know, that it kind of sits pretty flush with the top of the hood here, and you kind of just miss the wing, and to me it almost looks a little bit funny. So what I ended up doing, the screws that actually screw this in, they're fairly long, and the particular kit for the CVA shocks here, it comes with a lot of different internal valves. So I actually used two of the yellow internal valves for these shocks as a spacer. It tied in with obviously the yellow CVA shock, so it looks really good, and the yellow decals, but it was able to raise that wing up just enough to be above the roof line and kind of give it a aggressive look. So the rear end of this buggy I think is a very aggressive. It kind of has a little bit of toe in. The tires are super aggressive and meaty and spiky. So I think it was able to tie in with that really well. So that was one of the first changes and things that I wanted to play around with, and that one worked out really good. The second one, like I mentioned, was this suspension, they call it a support bridge. So I'll throw a picture up here of actually what it is. I got this one on Amazon or eBay, but I believe it was eBay. Now this kit is designed for a dual shock setup. And with this particular buggy, I feel the single shock fits it really nice. It's vintage. I wanted to kind of stay with that look, but I also wanted to implement these carbon fiber bridges because they look really, really good. And for those also who have built these or raced these or played with these, you end up getting a fair amount of suspension slop up here, and this I was hoping would eliminate that, which it did. So again, this was for a dual shock setup, but I wanted to get it and kind of modify it and see if I can make it work with the single shock up here. So I will include a video, kind of a backstory real quick on the overview build that I did on this one. I don't know what happened with my memory card. It ended up corrupting on me, and I lost a lot of footage. Now, some of the footage I was able to retrieve, but the weird thing is the quality was it was horrible, actually. So what I'll do is shortly here I'll throw up the clip of what I had to do to get this to work with that single shock setup. It was a little bit more work than I thought. A lot of grinding, a lot of measuring, kind of going back and forth, mocking it up. But in the end, it paid off. And as you guys can see, there is little to no suspension slop. Excuse me, I'm still a little bit under the weather, so I might sound a little funky, so I apologize. But yeah, what it was able to do is get rid of a lot of that suspension slop up front, and helps tie in this front sway bar and that single shock very well. This particular kit also came with suspension shafts, universal suspension shafts for the front and the rear. So they ended up being slightly too long. And so what I ended up doing to kind of match with the orange or kind of reddish decal, and then some of the highlights that you see in the Novafox right here, I ended up again using shock valves, or the little internal valves that have the holes in them. These were out of a Kyosho kit that I built, and this color, kind of orange or red, matched perfect with that. So I used those in the back to make up the gap of the length. So that worked out really good and tied in. And then, as you'll see in the video, you'll see what I had to do to the bottom one to get that one to clear the shock. So I'll throw that video up here shortly. And the last kind of upgrade or modifications that I did was going to be in the rear for the motor, and then the universal suspension shafts that I made for back here. So like I mentioned earlier, this one is a Holmes Hobby. It's a 21 turn retro sport. Now this I think would have went perfect. Obviously yellow decals and things like that, but I wanted to tie in with the gold theme and the gold flake that I did here. So I found a person online who makes some vinyl retro decals, and one of the ones that he offered was a Speedworks. This is their Blueprint series. So he made a replica vinyl sticker of that, and what I was able to do was remove this particular yellow sticker, and this one it's a metal sleeve for the magnets to increase the magnet tier. So I was able to remove that sleeve, take the sticker off, and then put the vinyl sticker over. So that one worked out really, really good to kind of tie in with this paint theme, which I'll talk about here shortly. And then the last thing was these universal shafts. And in the video, it'll show you what part I ended up using. I couldn't find it. If there is one out there, at least I was not able to find one. I couldn't find a particular kit for the Fox or the Novafox. So I measured the screw pins that Tamiya includes, and then I went out and found the closest length of suspension shafts that I could. I did have to get some spacers because some of them were a little bit too long, and I went with blue spacers. I'm not sure if you can see them. I have them here on the inside, but I went with blue spacers to kind of tie in with the blue decals, and I was able to eliminate about 95% of the screw and pins. Like I mentioned in the video, I'm not the biggest fan of screw-in pins. They put way too much stress, and you can, run into some cracking or some breaking issues with that. So the only screw-in pins I had to do were the bottom ones here. Everything else I was able to replace with those suspension shafts. And before we get into that video, as far as the paint, I definitely went outside of my comfort zone, but I think it paid off. And not only that, it was a lot of fun to kind of play around and experiment with that. So what I did, I first started with a basic clear, clear pearl. Then I ended up ordering and finding some crazy super fine gold flake or glitter. Put that in a tube, kind of played around. I taped the end of the tube shut and poked some holes in it, and kind of had to play around with the hole sizing because I wanted the gold flake to be heavy in the front and kind of fade out in the rear. So it turned out really, really good. So I first started with a clear pearl, laid that, and while it was still wet, I was able to sprinkle in and kind of put in the gold flake how I wanted it. And I was able to kind of go back and add some more clear and add it as I wanted. Then I backed it with a black and a Nova blue. Not Nova blue, sorry, a navy, navy blue to kind of tie in with the decals and the graphics. So I think it turned out really, really good. I was super nervous to mess up on it, but sometimes you kind of just have to go with it and see how it ends when the dust settles. So that's it there. And all in all, I think it turned out fantastic. It kind of gave me the look that I was going for. Ties in great with the gold rims and that decal that I found, and definitely excited to add this to the collection. So I will jump in. I'll throw that video up now, and you guys will see kind of some of the things I had to do to get this these carbon fiber support bridges to work with that single shock setup. So I'll throw it up here now for you guys. So I wanted to hit pause real quick and go over a couple things, changes, updates that I'm going to be doing. I am not the biggest fan of screw pins by any means. I feel they put way too much pressure on the joints here and the suspension joints, and eventually these will crack. And of course I can't leave well enough alone, and I like updating things as much as I can. So it's another spare part or hop-up part from RC Adong. Funny name, but I believe that's how you pronounce it. Anyways, these are a front support bridge, I think they call them. I'll throw a picture of the link of where I got them from, but basically it comes with the front screw pins or suspension shafts to replace the screw pins, and then it comes with these carbon fiber braces. Now these used to match, so this top one, this bottom one looked exactly like that top one. Now this is for a dual shock setup. I am still running the single front shock, which I really like. I think it's nostalgic to this kit, and I didn't want to change it. So again, this is for a dual shock setup. I'm going to still be running the single shock. So what you have to do is you have to trim this and shave this down to make room for the front shock, because basically the kit runs the shocks here on the side and you have plenty of room. But I figured if I was able to grind and slim this down, that it should in theory fit. So I have mocked it up and it's super tight, but it does fit. Basically the bottom of the shock will essentially ride just like that. So very, very close, but it still makes it. And it's supposed to fit no issues. Again, the only thing, it is for a dual shock setup, but I found unfortunately that it was hitting these bolts. So I had to make some cutouts here that I had to shave to make room and clearancing for those bolts. And then I found right here on, I guess we want to call it the bulkhead or the front tub part of the chassis, you have these little, plastic notches, and those also I found got in the way. So even if you do run a dual shock setup, it looks like you're still gonna have to make some notches there, but you can see them right there. So basically now that will kind of clear that. And these universal suspension shafts also came with E-clips. Now I'm also going to be doing the same for the rear. I could not find a specific kit for this, so I kind of went with a universal, or it's going to be universal for this one. So I went with hop-up part number 53301, and the rear I need 32 on the screw pins, and these are 36.5, so almost 37. So basically what I'll end up doing is making up the gap with these spacers, and that's hop-up part number 53539. So I'll be able to replace those in the rear. Alright, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that and were able to see what I needed to do to get that to work. So if you guys maybe want to convert yours over or pick one up, or if you're you have one on the back burner to build and you wanted to do something like that, it's not too hard, as you saw, but it will require you to kind of shave a little bit off the bottom and then kind of mock it up and kind of go back and forth until you get the clearance, because it does, this front shock right here does hover right above that one. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Other than that, I will get a running video and a speed video up shortly. This one I'm running, the standard kit comes with a 15 pinion, but I ended up going with the steel pinion. You guys will hear me probably sound like a broken record, but I do steel pinions, Robinson Racing, on every single Tamiya kit that I have that doesn't come in the box with the steel pinion. The aluminum ones, they just wear way too quick. So I wanted to get a little bit more top end. These motors are really torquey, so you can run a little bit higher of a pinion and it'll handle it just fine. So this one is a 16, and just give me a little bit better top end. So I'll have a running video here shortly of the top speed of this bad boy, and then how it jumps and stuff like that. But other than that, thank you guys very much. I appreciate all the comments, all the support you guys give me. I really enjoy talking to everybody. Again, this is kind of my outlet for RC cars and hobbies and things like that. Nobody really in my area is into RC cars or really knows a whole lot about these, and I'm always learning and love to pick up new things and insight from you guys. So jot down in the comments how you guys like it, and anything else that you guys wanted to add. But yeah, I appreciate all the support, and I really enjoy talking to you guys. Other than that, I really hope you guys enjoyed this build. Down in the description, I'll put some of the videos. I ended up doing like, time-lapse build of me building these CVAs. Then I have kind of a complete build, almost from start to finish. Like I said, I lost a lot of the footage pertaining to like building the front arms and some of the chassis pieces. This was definitely a lot more challenging than that fighting buggy. I enjoyed it, but this one definitely had its challenges. But in the end, I think it made me a little bit better, RC builder, and I was able to get outside my comfort zone and do some things that I really wanted to for this particular build. So let me know what you guys think of it, how you guys like it. And other than that, again, thank you guys very much for all the comments and support, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Take care now. Bye-bye.